I introduce you to Rachael Mfoafo.
Hello and good afternoon. I'm a graduate trainee with the Improvement Service in Scotland. I've been with the Improvement Service for a year now, starting out with local government ICT strategy program and now supporting the Roads Collaboration program, both essentially facilitating collaboration between local authorities to deliver better outcomes for communities. I also work with Thistle Foundation, which is a Scottish charity supporting people with disabilities and health conditions. When I've read documents or been involved in work that had clear and direct implications for citizens, like Self-Directed Support Initiative, I get a deeper understanding of the importance for organizations to collaborate and get it right for citizens. And I feel very honored that I've been given this platform to share my learning with leaders. It was through supporting the local government ICT strategy program that I first got a sense of some of the frustrations around knowledge sharing in the public sector, particularly via online collaboration platforms. I felt that there was some level of acceptance that public sector officers are IT shy, making the lack of participation on collaboration platforms or online communities acceptable. Program officers creating online communities to facilitate knowledge sharing face a bumpy ride negotiating the love-hate relationship public sector has with digital platforms. I say love-hate because while social media has changed the way public sector interacts with citizens, with many organizations having some kind of a presence on Facebook or Twitter, using it to support internal management of knowledge has raised fresh challenges over time. I set out to understand how public sector's management of knowledge, specifically via sharing of it on online platforms, can be coordinated to deliver better outcomes for citizens. My presentation today will provide a snapshot of what I've learned from the prominent people I met in Singapore. I will cover my reasoning for choosing Singapore as my research destination, a holistic view of government as a proverbial online collaboration platform, examples of public sector initiatives in Singapore as shared by individuals and teams I met, the summary of my key takeaways from meetings and what I've gained from the Williamson Research Award. My mentors and I felt Singapore would be a great choice because it's quite different to the UK in many ways, even down to the weather. But there are also some strong similarities, especially in the direction of e-government strategy, which, like the UK, looks to put citizens at the center of service provision and leverage the power of digital age to engage citizens in creating services they would want to use. Singapore also has a reputation for high digital uptake, with nearly 9 out of 10 households having broadband access. It has a mobile phone penetration around 150%, and it is recognized as a pioneer for web services. The UK government's intention to devolve power to cities makes learning from a city-state like Singapore quite useful. Singapore no longer has villages, it's 100% urbanized. As a small city-state without local councils, it offers the potential to see how a city's knowledge flow may be supported by ICT, especially when citizens have fully embraced digital. In addition, Singapore and the UK are already learning from each other, especially in the academic research industry, with a number of arrangements in place with the Agency for Science, Technology and Research, Singapore. As you may know, the Improvement Service is also working with Tata Consultancy Service to refresh the citizens' account, and so we're able to facilitate a meeting with their team in Singapore. And finally, through connections with IBM, we secured a meetup with a team that deals with the Singapore's public sector knowledge sharing platform, Cube. I was keen to see what we can learn from each other, especially around uptake and platform features in comparison to the UK's Knowledge Hub. Many of the drivers for online collaboration tools in the public sector stem from its increasing importance to governments dealing with knowledge economy and the demands of the digital world, steeped in social media and Web 2.0 technologies that have fundamentally changed the way we socialize, shop, communicate, learn and participate in public affairs. Demand for online collaboration tools and services throughout the public sector is skyrocketing, and for good reason. It enables government employees to collaborate with colleagues, co-workers, suppliers, and stakeholders, both within and outside government. It promises to boost efficiency and encourage the frictionless flow of knowledge. However, managing knowledge is not just about implementing written or explicit knowledge. It is also about sharing tacit knowledge held by individuals and gained through learning and experience at both strategic and operational level. And while tacit knowledge charged with feelings, intuition, and often years of experience is thought to be best harnessed through face-to-face interactions, recognized benefits of online collaborations like collective problem solving, time and cost savings, and potential to drive innovation continues to increase demand. Singapore has a relatively small population of 5 million, but it has achieved a lot with limited resources. The president of Information and Knowledge Management Society, Karuna, explained to me that Singapore has no natural resources. It relies on human capital and its people in positioning itself for new economy. And when people are all that you have, it becomes critical, in fact a matter of survival, that government initiatives are leveraging the knowledge within and across public administrations. Where digital platforms are concerned, organizations must look to creative ways to ensure sharing is purposeful and objective-driven, yet draws on emotional elements associated with experiences. This is very difficult to do because social media doesn't define a person's appetite for knowledge and information. It's incredibly personal and defined by the individual. So the challenge for organizations is to employ a combination of knowledge management tools that can bring professional and social together in a productive way, such as organizational storytelling, which can then be summarized and shared online. I particularly like this idea of being in a survival mode because I think, in many respects, governments facing intense financial pressures, an aging population, and the demands for IT-powered services from citizens with insatiable thirst for connectivity and information are operating from survival mode to some degree. In a meeting with the members of Institutes of Systems Science, we looked at what they felt have been key to the success of Singapore's e-government approach, especially in terms of creating an innovation culture intricately linked to sourcing knowledge. They touched on how design thinking concepts can support some of the aspirations of governments today, from end users feeding into creative, innovative solutions. Singapore's government websites and portals are designed to encourage citizens' interest in contributing to creating the public sector they want. Singapore's Reach portal, for instance, promotes active citizen participation. Reach was created in 2006 to lead the push for better engagement with citizens, and the team works closely with communities and grassroots organizations to obtain feedback on national issues and policies, as well as putting forward topics for discussion in the portal. The Singapore government also recognizes activities in the form of challenges such as contests for ideas generation, apps development competitions, hackathons, and campaigns to leverage citizens' knowledge and gather ideas from the public to solve problems and issues that Singapore may be facing. In effect, government is acting as a platform for connecting the right people with the right information, services, and engaging citizens in decisions that affect them. The group offered that it is important to have key building blocks in place through ICT to enable public services to be delivered competently and for customers to be provided with quality services. The Center Director of Singapore's e-government learning, Mr. Ashok, felt having an ICT infrastructure that supports integration and communication between core government functions was vital, such as the centralization of finance and HR systems in Singapore. He added that Singapore operates as one integrated whole that is constantly changing to meet the aspirations of citizens with the speed that being high-tech affords. This point resonates with sources of feedback I received regarding the extent to which various systems of government agencies communicate and share information that reduces the legwork for citizens. An example that sprang to mind was from Helen Alton's presentation at last year's Socitm conference, where she spoke about the difficulties she faced in getting the right information at the right time for her disabled son. Helen struck me as being quite experienced in electronic media, so if she had problems getting the right information at the right time, I wondered how difficult it must be for less tech-savvy citizens. I understood what the group was saying, that government as a platform must have the infrastructure, legislation, and policy frameworks that support the secure sharing of information between government agencies. Systems must talk to each other. An example of how this works on the ground in Singapore is the no wrong door policy introduced in 2004, where customers' needs are well mapped to the services provided by various agencies so that customers do not get referred or passed from one agency to another. Many governments have adopted this direction, which allows customers to provide personal information once to be used many times, a bit like the My Account service provided by the Improvement Service, to give public sector organisations across Scotland a shared, secure method of verifying who you are online. This theme also came up in my conversations with TCS. They talked about the potential for future city frameworks like the City Process Management to enable government systems to talk to each other better. One of the interesting potential outcomes of this CPM would be avatars, individual profiles where citizens can interact with various functions through an avatar and access personalized services. It builds on Singapore's current e-citizen portal, where you can create your own personalized page, save your favorite topics and e-services for easy access on your personalized page. Avatars would give government agencies the information they need to provide personalized services to the right person at the right time in their lives. TCS also shared their idea for a community-based collaborative platform, not just for government agencies. It would include NGOs and eventually family members, volunteers, and those who participate in offering better services in their communities. The intention would be to see if ICT can create a platform that works on a community level. Again, the direction is towards giving citizens a voice and making problem solving the focal point for managing knowledge. Here, knowledge sharing becomes a byproduct of problem solving, because in order for a problem to be solved, people need to share information and knowledge. The CUBE team is part of the PS21 office. The PS21 team is within the Public Service Division of the Singapore Prime Minister's Office, responsible for driving change and innovation in the Singaporean public service. Recently, the PS21 office was featured in Nesta's IT report, amongst other innovative teams around the world who are finding creative ways of tapping into the brainpower of staff and communities to solve problems. I met the CUBE team in their busy, vibrant office. They gave me a tour of the CUBE platform. CUBE was created last year and currently has about 15,000 officers on it. The basic structures and functions are very similar to that of the Knowledge Hub. The team felt that platforms should be well designed to meet the needs of users and include customization features to make it visually appealing and inviting. They placed more emphasis on content development, adding that as facilitators, they produce engaging content that stimulates conversation on CUBE. But organizational culture remains a big challenge. Now, I've got a short video of CUBE to show you.
It's lunchtime here in the tertiary jungles of Singapore, and this elusive and rare species has chosen to hide herself in the middle of a herd of almost identical public officers. This is really quite amazing. Look at the way she's protecting those procurement guidelines under her arm to stop them from falling into the wrong hands. A dominant male from the same herd seems to think she's from the same department. For years, we thought this was part of mating behavior. In fact, he's just waiting for permission from his manager. For the love of public service, what is it? My God! It's a cube!
CUBE, staying connected and plugged in to the public service.
This is one of many funny videos that CUBE team has created. The team felt the tone of the content they produce is also very important in knocking down some of the reservations people have, while giving them more to see and do so that they would want to use CUBE. Besides creating videos, the team also run competitions and supports top management to use the platform to encourage others. The team also produces a monthly newsletter called Jam, which asks public officers a question directly related to issues that other agencies providing public service face. It does this to support agencies to have more open discussions to promote the government's direction for two-way engagement with citizens. These questions are often mirrored by Reach to probe deeper into the issue from the citizen's perspective. Along with supporting leaders to use the platform to share insights, the team have also identified key people in different government organizations who are very active in online communities within their organizations and on social media in general, and using them to support content development on Cube. Overall, it seemed to me that facilitators are very important to provide them support in all forms of KM tools, particularly in supporting online communities and tying together content from key platforms and bringing it to the masses in an engaging format that drives further collaboration. Plus, whether you believe technology has issues or people have issues with technology, facilitators are often your best bet for resolving platform glitches. Having been a facilitator on Knowledge Hub, I could relate to the difficulties in creating a vibrant group and sustaining it. Like the Cube team, I felt that hacking this was key to managing knowledge. IKMS President Karuna explained in our meeting that rather than the concern for who knows what and why they aren't sharing it, we must focus on what knowledge means and what that constitutes as part of an effective organizational strategy and how knowledge gets valued. Organizations should make learning an integral part of growth strategy. One of the ways he felt a learning culture could be supported is to be more reflective about failures and successes. For instance, sharing stories about project failures and success in your organization. He shared his model of storytelling called 251. The model uses a simple technique to help people reflect and easily transfer knowledge. 251 stands for 2 introductory remarks, 5 points, and 1 key lesson learned, intended to be intuitive using the 5 fingers on the palm of one hand. It is based on his emerging hypothesis behind knowledge sharing that for an individual to truly share his insights after an experience, he will have to dig into his emotional frame of reference. I felt that people will do something if they need to, and if they hang around on the platform, it's because they want to. But from what I've shared so far, management can put things in place, the practices, technology, and processes of design to produce the desired knowledge management outcomes. Public sector is knowledge intense, and organizations must ensure that design suits the knowledge end user. Further, while online platforms and Web 2.0 technologies have and will continue to act as enablers for managing knowledge, the focus should be on cultivating a learning culture that makes knowledge sharing everyone's responsibility. In so thinking, we must take responsibility for our learning, and one way management can support this is by introducing creative ways of encouraging learning that benefits everyone. On a personal level, undertaking this research project hasn't only helped me find my voice in my professional development, but also in my personal aspirations. During this journey, I have found a deeper appreciation for the potential knowledge management has for influencing corporate social responsibility, particularly in developing countries, where ICT, predominantly mobile phones, is supporting development interventions. This direction of thinking literally hits quite close to home for me as a Ghanaian, with first-hand experience of how digital is connecting poorer communities to the global knowledge network. I am very grateful to my mentors and Karuna for offering to support me in my future efforts to contribute to this line of thinking, and thankful that the Williamson research has allowed me to meet so many great people that I could continue to learn from. I would like to thank all who have contributed to this research. I know it's been a great experience for me, and I hope that I have touched on something new or reinforced what you already know in a small way. Thank you.